episode.
Well,
Start over.
nah, I'm going with it. Welcome to the Burning Ewok Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Granson, with me as always.
Chuck.
And
Dan.
we are here to talk about the first 3 episodes of Andor, Season 2. So, we are late. We want to start recording these on Thursday so we get them out right away. But life happens, and you don't pay for this anyway, so we don't feel that bad about it. But we would like more viewers listening to this stuff, so we want to be a little bit more timely. Right, gentlemen?
Absolutely.
So we're going to do today's late. I'll have this out Tuesday before episodes 4, 5, and 6 come out, and then we're going to get to episodes 4, 5, and 6 Thursday, and I should have that out on Friday for everybody. So real quick, how you guys been? You guys good?
Oh yeah, everything's great.
Yeah.
So let's just jump right in and discuss. We got 3 episodes to talk about, and I thought the best way to talk about it would be let's just first talk about Cassian Andor's story up for the first couple episodes, and kind of talk about that, and then we'll just take another one of the threads and one of the threads. I'm sure we'll jump back and forth and everything. It'll be a little chaotic, but there's a lot to talk about. So first thing we get on the screen. For BBY. So when we last left our hero, it was 5 years before the Battle of Yavin. So this one's 1 year later, and every one of these episodes, each group of 3 episodes we're going to get. So I imagine on tomorrow's episode, it's going to say 3 BBY at the beginning, and then we'll just get 2-1 and then go into Rogue One. But at least I'm hoping they keep that same format. I know it was said that each one jumps a year, and they were happy. They said they were really happy that they didn't do 5 seasons like they planned to originally, because it would have just been too much, you know. And plus, I think Cassian Andor would have looked like a grandpa by the time they got to the end of it. And then all of a sudden, he gets super young again in Rogue One.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you guys think of the beginning of it?
We get a Easter egg in the beginning. I mean, we get a legendary video game TIE fighter in the flesh. We get the TIE Defender from
the TIE Avenger.
No, it's the Defender.
It's the Avenger. The Defender's got 3 foils on it, buddy.
Oh, man, I looked this up.
It's a TIE Avenger.
Okay. Well, anyways, it's from it is from the LucasArts TIE Fighter video game from like 1994, 95.
That was the best game, dude. I rocked that game.
It is one of the greatest games ever made.
It is the Avenger. Maybe we'll get the Defender later on. I don't know.
I hope so.
We get the Avenger. Okay. I'll bring up the TIE Defender later on because it's something that actually ties into Andor.
Okay.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, really pointed scene to start it off. The lunchroom, the break room discussion, I think, was kind of like almost like a continuation of his speech to Luthen at the end of Andor season 1, right?
For sure.
How he's carrying the torch from, I can't remember what the kid's name was from season 1, the kid who, with his little book of inspiration from the raid on that planet.
Yeah, his manifesto.
Yeah,
manifesto.
And I like the, she's nervous. The whole play on she's nervous. She don't want to look at him. She was told not to look at him, not to reveal too much information. Ask too much, and he's like, "No, you're risking it all. You deserve to know everything. You deserve to be all in like the rest of us." So. It's a kind of, I think it's dumb operationally from a military perspective. It's kind of dumb, but it's amazing.
But what was he doing though? He was not really buttering her up, but he was building her up. He was injecting confidence in her, saying, "Hey, this is why we do it. This is what the fight's about. This is why we, And so I think it was more of like a rah-rah. And that angle, knowing that she's going to have 12 minutes to get off planet anyway before he goes and does his thing. So more than likely she's going to be safe. She may end up later on somewhere. That'd be kind of nice because I just like seeing that like Imperial sacrificing, like somebody on the inside seeing problems and then, being that informant. Other Easter egg, the name of the planet was Sinar. I believe that's also the name of the company that makes TIE fighters.
That's
Sinar
okay,
Corporation.
really cool.
The Sinar Corporation. I thought so there was that also. A lot of fun little neat things in there. Also, notoriously, the TIE Avenger is considered one of the more difficult ships to fly in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So they made it super difficult for everybody. Nobody knew how to fly it.
Yeah.
So, which I thought was pretty awesome. Also,
Yeah, and the way it busts out of the hangar is really cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I want to know what kind of stormtroopers those dudes that look like the Winter Stormtroopers, but they were like Winter Stormtroopers, like all like roided out. Like those big dudes with like but they had like the winter gear, but it wasn't quite like a Winter Trooper. I don't know, it's like a bazooka trooper.
Yeah, with the Mandalorians.
Almost, yeah. Yeah, it kind of did.
Yeah,
it almost was. Yeah.
I liked when he blew that dude away. It was just a hole. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good intro. So so then Cassian he steals that TIE fighter successfully. Got a nice little cold open action sequence where going through the caverns and everything, and then finally fighting off the guys chasing him down, and then he escapes to a planet. So on the planet, he is supposed to be meeting up with
Orko.
Yes. So he's got another pilot he's going to transfer this ship off to, and then go their separate ways. So then now they've got some intel for the Empire, but his buddy is not there for him. Instead, we see other seedlings of idiotic rebels that.
Plus the ship that was wrecked there, wasn't that the ship from the first season? The one that he flew all over the place? The one that at the very beginning of the movie.
It was his ship.
Yeah,
was it his ship? Was that his ship?
Yeah.
He said, because at one point he's like, "What did you do to my ship?"
Yeah.
And he knew where that blaster is in episode.
Oh
3.
my God! Thank you. Okay, that makes so much sense then. So he had it in the compartment that whole time. He knew where it was.
Yep.
Oh, and it did look like his ship. I watched it like 3 times, and I never caught that.
He knew where to go to grab the communications gear.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Oh man, okay. I just thought he was being super observant. But okay, so it was his ship. That's awesome. I feel so much better about it now because I'm like, yeah, what was the deal there? Okay, I feel like a fool. Thank you. Yeah. So I really like the idea that I don't know if it was comedy, but it was meaningful comedy. It wasn't just like jokes, because he's got these bands of rebels that are not getting along, that don't realize they're all fighting the same thing, but they have no leadership, no direction, and they become comical. They're getting eaten by creatures on the planet. They don't have no idea what they're doing, and Cassian's actually leading them as a captor. So it's like that whole leap since the last episode, like you mentioned with Luthen and that whole speech. It's like he's like full blown like Cassian Andor, like leader guy now. Like 100% he's there. He just doesn't quite have the edge yet, like that he has in the beginning of Rogue One, where he's just shooting fools, that are on his side. He doesn't have that edge like Luthen has, where Luthen will take somebody out, no problem. So I'll get to more on my theory on that part later.
I feel like that's probably, and I don't know, we'll see in the next series of episodes, but I feel like that whole sequence is probably a foreshadowing of because we remember from the first season there was tension between groups of rebels. They weren't working together.
Oh, for sure. So it's still that way. It's very much that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very much like that in the show Rebels. You see there are different factors of Rebels in there too, but Rebels takes place a little like Rebels will be starting about right now when the show begins, and where this season begins, and they're kind of figuring it all out as it's going, and by the end of Rebels, you've got the actual Rebel Alliance at that point, similar to the beginning of Rogue One.
So,
it all kind of comes together.
I actually made a little timeline here.
Okay.
Right. So so here's what I have. Right. So BBY is the Battle of Yavin. Right. So 32 BBY before Battle of Yavin is the Phantom Menace.
Correct.
32 years before. 19 BBY is the Fall of the Jedi.
Yeah, that's Order 66. Birth of Luke.
Yep. Yep. And then the opening scene with the young Jyn Orso, or Jyn, what's his name?
Jyn Erso, you got it.
Jyn Orso,
Or are you?
yep.
Okay.
And Orson Krennic is 13 BBY. So it takes place 9 years before Andor season 2.
Okay.
All right. That is also the year that Han Solo escapes Corellia.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. I kind of came back, and then 3 years later is BBY 10, or 10 BBY is the end of that's what the end of the movie Solo.
Okay.
Okay. BBY 9 is the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Okay, so Luke is 11 at that point.
Yeah, so you have a 4-year jump to Andor season 1, and then one more jump to Andor season 2.
Yeah, because Andor 5 years. Awesome. No, that's good info.
Yep. And then BBY 0 also Rogue One, right?
Yes.
Starts off BBY right there.
Like BBY plus a few months or something, or minus a few months. Yeah.
That's really cool, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, they're doing a good job of like keeping that all in order. I mean, and honestly, when you like add in all the episodes of Rebels, they tie into it really, really well. So I'll talk about one of those too, since we did talk about the TIE Defender. So one of the things I want you guys to do at some point, probably I would say it's going to be after the 3rd week, because my guess is the 3rd week is when we're going to have bad stuff happen on Gorman. And there's an episode of Rebels, and I think it's either season 2 or season 3. I forget. I'll get you the info, but it's a Mon Mothma episode, and it's after that incident happens, how then the Spectre crew, the Rebels, have to transport her, and the ship that's hunting them down is the TIE Defender in that one. And I just watched it. That's why I knew. That's why I knew about the Defender. And it's got like the 3 fin things on it and everything, and it's got tons of shielding, and yeah, it's a cool ship. But yeah, so I'll get more info on that as we get closer, because I don't think that's going to happen this week, because I think that's going to be Gorman's setup, and then a year later, it's not going to be a good day for.
Yes, it is his BBY 2 is the Massacre of Gorman. And
BBY 2 is when the Mon Mothma episode, and so that would make sense that it would fall in the second and last group of them. Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking, Dan. Exactly. All right, so I don't know how much more there's to talk about everything that happens on that planet, but
so when he landed on that planet, I was like, well, why aren't they telling us what planet this is? Like, I knew right away something was up. I was like, tell us what planet this is, and I was like eating chips or something when he took off, and I was like, oh, it's Yavin, and my wife's like, what?
I saw it out of the corner of my eye, because I was like looking over after you like left. I'm like, oh, that was kind of, and then I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I had to back it up and watch that last 5 seconds. I'm like, okay, I did see what I thought I saw. So yeah, we see the 2 ancient Jedi temples and the giant planet of Yavin, because they of course were on Yavin 4, the moon of Yavin. Yes.
I honestly thought we'd see like a T-Rex or something howling as the ship escaped.
I thought we'd see a little bit more of gore. I thought we'd see some of those animals. We only saw one animal, and it was a little bigger than I had expected. I expected it to be more like little animals come up and devour.
I kind of wanted to look it up and see what kind of animal it was. It kind of looked like one of the animals that was in episode 2, Attack of the Clones, that's in the arena. It looked like the rhino one that ends up like rolling over Jango Fett in that. It kind of looked like that. But that dude, I think, came across and like ate 2 guys at once as he jumped through the screen.
Whoa.
So I don't think it was that guy. I think it was a new creature altogether.
Could be. I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, so Yavin 4, he flies off, and we know that we're going to be back on Yavin 4 at some point. So leaving those rebels to fight amongst themselves, kind of figure things out. Because one of the things they did say was that that Cassian's people, Luthen, was bankrolling that. They were bankrolling those guys getting there, but their leader had been killed, so they didn't have that connection anymore, and there was no way Cassian was going to give up Luthen. So
Yeah.
so I liked all that. I think a lot of people are a little confused by what was going on in that, and I don't think like the more Star Wars savvy people caught on to the whole point of that. I've seen some weird things online,
I
but
think it'll pay off later
I
because
agree. I agree totally. I mean,
I
if you
think
if you look at like any sort of like revolution or anything, I mean, it, people don't, like the American Revolution didn't fall together until people started getting behind like Washington. I mean, it takes time for these things to happen. There's infighting and everybody's vying. It's like crabs in a barrel. So,
Isn't there a scene in the trailer for the season though? Like there's an exchange between Andor, Cassian, and Luthen where they're talking about that and it's something along the lines of Cassian's like, I'm a soldier, and he's like, we need you to be a leader.
yeah, there was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that'll come later, and my understanding is there's going to be a big reveal of exactly. So like Cassian has this big speech in Rogue One, and where he starts to talk about what turned him into a rebel, and there's going to be but that hasn't actually happened yet.
right.
What really turned him into the guy he was in Rogue One. We've been told by the showrunner that we are getting that in one of the next episodes here. So
Yeah,
we'll get it all, man.
We're gonna get it. I think it's gonna be good. So let's jump on for the smaller. Let's go to the smaller storyline. Let's talk about Dedra and Cyril.
yeah.
So last time we saw them, Cyril was creeping on Dedra, the Imperials, and a year later, it turns out they're a thing. They're an item.
He saved her life.
He did in a really creepy way.
Yeah.
But either way, so that all happens, and we find out that Dedra is in a meeting with Krennic. So Orson Krennic is there. Awesome. Having Mendelsohn back playing his role was just, he fell right back in it. That guy's awesome. That guy's one, like that. You put that guy in as a villain, he's one of my absolute favorite villains always. I just love his mannerism. I love the way he talks, like his just voice. Like he reminds me a lot of the bad guys from like I don't know, just like 80s movies, like I don't know, he's got that feel. Like he was the perfect pick for Ready Player One, being the bad guy in that, So anyway, but so Krennic's back. They're talking about Gorman, as we just mentioned, So Gorman's a place that there's all these cloth and everything, and they do all these things, but they also have, I don't know, calcite underground,
Calcite.
Calcite is something that they need for the reactor lenses, probably for their Death Star. Not necessarily for the laser portion, which we know is made out of kyber crystal, but now they need the calcite for the reactor lenses. So they're going to do whatever it takes to get this. And Krennic has an eye on. Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
It's not actually it's that he says that, but it's actually for the lens of the weapon, not for the reactor. It's
Really?
It's the coating on the lens for the giant laser.
Is it?
So,
okay.
I'll bet you're right. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what this calcite is being used, and this is why they will go to such great lengths to move the population.
So
Gotcha.
Here's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing I have a question on, and because they're sitting there talking about this. Well, what's the best way to do it? And I'm like, wouldn't the best way to do it to just be like park a few Star Destroyers in orbit, do a planetary bombardment, wipe everybody out, and just go down there and get what you want?
So I got notes on this, right? So this is all about control, and absolute fear of the Empire has not taken over yet, right? The Senate's still there. There is still, the Empire doesn't have its grips on everything. It's spread too thin, right?
And remember
Which
what
is,
the one guy said too. He's like, they gamed out all these other scenarios,
Right.
and like,
Yeah.
it didn't always work out for us. So this would probably fall under that. But go
Yeah.
ahead, Dan.
They're still worried about, losing control. Like, they know that they're, despite the power of the Empire, the Emperor and Darth Vader, they're still, pretty thin, right? That things can still line up against them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be building the Death Star, right? So this is about control. How do you control the population rather than grind it to dust? Because you grind them to dust without propaganda, and it enables other people to rise up against you. So,
Yeah.
so this is, how do we achieve this without, parking all the Star Destroyers in orbit and just killing everybody there? How do we turn the tide of public opinion for us rather than against us, right? Or at least partially for us.
And Dedra's got the best idea, which is you have rebels do the wrong thing. So you have them uprise against them. Now they've got probable cause to just wipe them out and do whatever they need to do, because now they're a problem, and every other planet can see that, and the propaganda can spread.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's not until they get to Death Star that they don't. At that point, they're like, yeah, whatever, we'll just blow up a planet. But that's like the end game. But like to get there, use those tools. So I really like all that part, and you could see how Krennic is definitely eyeing her, and I don't necessarily think he's eyeing her for the reasons that she thinks. I think she was such a failure at Ferrix that he can also use her as a fall. I think he is using her, not necessarily. I mean, and I think anybody in the Empire that's like doing that kind of stuff is going to put somebody in a position to make themselves look good, and if something fails, they've got a fall guy, and she's definitely going to be that person.
She
So
knows that. Yeah.
Does Krennic know that she's still running this program to catch Luthen, which is, they mentioned his code name is Axis, right?
Right.
So,
well, is it Luthen or is it Cassian Andor? Because Cassian Andor was the target from the first season. So
no,
that's who I think.
Luthen was the target.
Yeah, Luthen was the target.
Luthen, you think so?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah.
Cyril, the target for Cyril was Cassian Andor.
Yes, correct.
Yes, Cassian was just a means to.
Yeah, but they were there.
Luthen.
All of the rebels were there looking for Cassian when they came down to Ferrix at the end, though.
Right, but she was the one who noticed parts are missing here. Things were stolen here.
Yeah, that somebody else was masterminding it. Yeah,
somebody's pulling the strings.
Yeah.
And,
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did, because he mentioned that, because he mentioned the whole thing on Ferrix and everything when they were talking, and he's like, so I don't know. She's not gonna.
Krennic realizes that she's still casting that net, trying to find him, and I think that's the subtle thing that's missed in the first 3 episodes is she is still out to find Luthen.
Yeah, but she's gonna get that taken away from her, and by happenstance, she's gonna fall back into it, and then be like, "Oh, she'll be the right person at the right place for that, and she'll have all the info on him."
I think the only thing saving grace is I think she's gonna find him at the end.
I don't know, man.
Fight who?
I don't know.
Find Luthen.
Oh, find?
Yeah.
So, okay. Hold that thought until the end, because I think we need to do a predictions thing. I think we have to say who's going to kill who's going to catch who's going to survive, and who isn't going to survive, that kind of a thing. So hang on to those thoughts right there. Real quick, I want to continue on with that thread. The other part of her storyline is, living with Cyril, and they have a dinner guest. And that dinner guest.
Well, before that, though, Cyril's like really into his job.
Yeah, he just fell right into it. And he's like, he's like Mr. Bureaucrat. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And he's like in the position. Yeah, don't look there. I was in your position 1 year ago. Blah blah. Yeah, and all that. Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
I thought that was great.
You know what? I really like the ties. I like that little tie hole that they have. The tie comes out. I do like. I think that's cool. I want that to catch on in America. Let's bring it. I'll wear it. I'll wear that.
Is it a good assumption that his relationship with Deidre is what got him the promotion and not him actually I think he says he found something was missing or in the
Oh,
files. And
Deidre's
that got
gonna,
him.
yeah, Deidre is gonna absolutely control everything.
Mhm.
And I have a prediction of where that goes. But I mean, we see Dedra shut down his mother
Oh,
in the
man, it
most
was amazing.
fascinating, amazing SmackDown like the show could have ever produced.
I disagree.
You
I think
didn't.
the mom won. I
Why?
think the mom 100% won because the mom got exactly what she wanted. Exactly. She got back into her son's life because Deidre's guaranteeing she gets to see him so and so, so often.
I can see
She's
that.
gonna get
Yeah.
him she's getting the mom a couple other things thrown in and
Okay,
blah blah
but
blah.
As long as she
Dedra
doesn't. Yeah.
controls Cyril, and that's the important part. So maybe you're right there. Yeah, the mom does get what she wants, so she'll be happy about it because it's just like I get to do this, I get to see. Oh, I get to play the part of the mom, and I get to do all that stuff, such as she doesn't go overboard and cross the line.
But
I don't know how much more we're gonna see of her, to be honest.
I think it's well, I think we see her again at the end. When we get to predictions, I got some
Okay,
predictions.
all right, all
But
right.
I think the mom is using Deidre to control Cyril.
Okay.
And it's not the other way because
Interesting. Okay, I'm going the other way on
That's an
that.
interesting take. I like it though. I like
parents
Yeah.
are master classes at
Sure.
manipulation and control of the kids. Sorry,
But
Mom.
all right, I can't wait. I can't wait to get to that part later. Then, all right. So let's head over to the wheat planet. I forgot the name of that planet. I was gonna have
So,
all the planets. You have
Miro,
Miral. There we
Who
go.
won? What was it?
I got notes. I told you.
Awesome. I love it. Love the notes. Let's keep in doing notes.
I got 4
Anyway,
pages.
so my guy Brasso got full beard. He's with Will. Will's got a little crush over there. Bix is there. Bix is still traumatized, having nightmares. Poor Bix, man. Poor
Year
Bix.
later, still having.
Yeah, and then it only gets worse.
Yeah.
So, I guess we could kind of see. So one of the farmers there, the person that like kind of lives there forever, is reporting that the Empire is there, and they're going to start doing audits on everybody. This is obviously going to cause a problem for our heroes because don't have visas. They're just there as
Really
refugees, hiding away, and it's going to be a problem. So they're preparing to move elsewhere. Poor B2 Emo still looking for Cassian. He's going to get shipped off, go be with some other people, and this is something that looks like has so every single Star Wars show seems to have like the ones that want to have a problem with Star Wars, want to do the negative criticisms of Star Wars. The big storyline is taking that place right now because all like the Star Wars theory and incels and everything are all like sexual assault has nothing to do, no place in Star Wars, and there's not really any actual sexual. It was implied it would have happened, and she does mention that she was going to be raped, and I think it's handled really well, and I think it's done in a way showing that oppression. So I didn't feel it was like unneeded, unnecessary, or anything. I thought it was like except it's poor Bix. It happens to the same character on it over and over and over again, But that's part of her journey, and I don't think it's going to end well for her eventually. But I don't know. Did you guys have an issue with any of that stuff? I had no
No,
issue with it.
I thought
It's
it was.
intense and done well, and I didn't think it was anything that was like, oh man, no, you can't show anybody this. This is off limits. I did not feel that way at all.
I thought it was a way. It was showing the evil of the Empire. Like that was clearly, just I expected it to happen. Like I honestly, as soon as that guy came up to her and started talking to her, I was like, "Oh, this guy's a scuzzy."
Yeah.
He's not going to leave her alone.
Yeah, instantly you knew that. I felt it was going to go that direction.
Exactly.
Yeah, and this guy was such a dork.
I think there are parallels to American politics and society today that are drawn with the show that are going to strike a nerve with people
For sure.
who, that there are people, I mean, there's lots of people out there who think the Empire is cool,
Oh,
right?
thank you, thank you. This is exactly where I was going to go with this. So go ahead, Dan. This is
So
exactly the conversation I want to have.
people think the Empire's cool. Yeah, they're the bad guys, but they're cool bad guys, right?
Yeah.
It's the Emperor that's bad. It's Darth
No.
Vader's bad, but he was good, so he was good all along. And there's redemption in that. So you can be the bad guy to make him, the means to an end. Because in the end, you're gonna be the good guy. And there's these people, I think, I feel like that are out there that I think are the bad guys today that feel like they're the good guys and they identify with the Empire and they don't realize what that kind of a society enables. And it enables situations like you had in Rogue One. Now, to the question of is it actually too deep for Star Wars? I would say probably for the Star Wars movies we have gotten a little deep. But for Rogue One and for Andor, it is perfect. It's done tastefully. It's done well, and I think it did exactly what it set out to do, which was, hey, it is not cool, and there's it is an enabler, and we saw that in Andor season 1, right? It is an enabler for bad people because there is, from the top down, there is nobody looking out, and there's no oversight. There's nobody ensuring that the power is not abused, which is what you get with a authoritarian, fascist government.
100%. You nailed it. 100%. I agree with everything you just said there. Only thing I would add to it would be like, like I'm tired of going to a bookstore and you see Father's Day is coming up. So you see the cutesy little Darth Vader book with his little boy Luke, and they're having little adventures together for that kid's book. Like, I don't know. Like, and you said like, maybe not for the movies, but I just watched Revenge of the Sith in the theater this weekend. And, not that I haven't seen it a million times already, but it's just like Darth Vader goes and slaughters a whole bunch of kids in that movie. I mean, it's not really redeemable in a lot of ways. I mean, it's just like you can have redemption, but you are still guilty of the crimes that you have committed. Sure. It doesn't, you can redeem yourself. You can be forgiven. You can have these things, but you still need your it's like, it does not make you good necessarily. It doesn't make, you still have these horrible things that you've done, these atrocities, don't go unnoticed. And so like the way that we've kind of like coolified stormtroopers and all that, this show has gone out of its way to show you that one single TIE fighter flying over a group of peasants is horrifying and just like pushes these people down, and it just like that type of thing. Or like the way they handle those people that are on that pilgrimage, the way the Empire is just kind of the way they handle all that. And similar to like this episode, just like having this dork of an Imperial officer being able to wield this power, and so I think it's really important because this is that flavor of Star Wars. This isn't, and it's just like we get Skeleton Crew also, which is going to be the fun, adventuresome Star Wars, or that's why you got all these different flavors, and I like that they have this. I don't think I need the R-rated Star Wars ever. I think this is like that edge I need to go to. I don't need to see like the way Kingpin crushes a skull. I don't need to see that in Star Wars. I don't necessarily need that.
Can I go on a tangent real quick?
Yeah, sure.
You say, wait, I don't know if we ever need the R-rated Star Wars, but did I hear it right that we are getting a Star Wars horror movie? Did you hear that?
I've heard that, yeah.
There have been talk of it, and it's like not enough detail out on it. Yeah, like it's got elements of horror.
That's
I mean,
like
I don't know,
like Death Troopers.
Is it good? Oh, well, the Death Troopers are the black ones. The black ones.
No. There's a like the book Death Troopers. Which is about zombie.
Oh, this is zombie. It could be an animated thing, or it could be, or it's like a takeoff of the witches with the Death Troopers that were in.
It could be like Aliens.
Ahsoka.
It could be like the movie Aliens.
So did you ever read the book Death Troopers?
No, I did not.
Oh, it's so good.
I know. I heard a lot of people liked it.
And it's like a bunch of scavengers find a Star Destroyer floating in space, and it's like aliens meet zombies. with stormtroopers, and it's fantastic. So,
Well,
anyways,
to jump back to what you were saying, what we were talking about here is like I think Lucas, when he first developed the idea for the Empire, he did model like the uniforms, the color scheme, all that came from Nazi Germany. A lot of it did.
Yeah.
And even the stormtroopers themselves, because Hitler's soldiers
They're called
were
stormtroopers. Yeah, literally stormtroopers. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, and that's why I expected to see horrible things done at the hands of these people. But that being said, there were still good people in the ranks, because that girl who at the very beginning of the show, she's like, hey, I did good work here. I enjoyed work. Like, she wasn't like,
they had fun.
She did her
She felt
job.
alive.
Yeah. She did her job. She wasn't doing it to hurt people. She wasn't there to hurt people. She was just there because, that was what she studied and that's what she wanted to do with her life.
Yeah. Well, there's also the guy in the first season who's also talking. Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll have to get to that down the road when we do predictions. But I have some predictions for some of the characters because of their experiences.
All right.
So
can I bring up one issue I have with Vix?
Go ahead.
Well,
it's very superficial, but she reminds me so fucking much of what's her name from the Lost Boys, Jamie Gertz. She looks exactly like Jamie Gertz, and I cannot get over it. Same mannerisms and everything.
Dude,
it drives me nuts.
Is that who? Okay, is that who? Because I'm like, look at her, all that, and like, she reminds me of somebody. Okay, so
it is Jamie Gertz from the Lost Boys. She looks exactly like it. So much.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But
I just want to call her Star every time she's on screen.
Okay.
So let's go to the wedding, man.
Oh well, real quick. Let's wrap up. Let's wrap up the wheat
we
fields.
Got more?
Well, there's a little bit more because I mean, we get our first sense of tragedy. Our first.
Okay. We're going all the way through.
Yeah, let's kind of go through it because, so the Imperials are coming up. They're showing everything, and my man Brasso starts accusing the farmer of turning on them.
Mm-hmm.
And
we did that to save him.
Exactly, because Brasso is a protector, and he's like the guy. Man, he's a beast of a man too. That dude's so big, and he's protecting that guy so he doesn't get dragged by the Imperials also, by telling him you just looking to use us, spit us out, and then turn us in. I love that. And then once he tries to escape, obviously things don't go well for Brasso.
Yeah, I said to my wife, I'm like, oh, the one sharpshooters stormtrooper, man. Like the slow-mo and everything. He's going to use the scope? What? Like, I was devastated.
Only stormtroopers could make blast marks with such precision.
Yep.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan, what you don't know. But Cassian then comes in with the Avenger, and I just love how he's just wasting dudes in that ship. First hits the transport, hits the grain, blowing the dudes up off the ground. The grain falls on them. One of the podcasts I was listening to was talking about that scene, and they said like that's the kind of thing you do in a video game you get an achievement for.
Yep. Absolutely, 100%.
100%.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
I thought that was pretty good. And so I dug that part and everything. Obviously, he lands and the sad scene with Brasso no longer being around, but then the rest of them all are going to escape. So it looks like Wilbix and Cassian were kind of, and there's like a shot where he turns and he's looking at that crew the same way Maeve turned and looked at Andor in the previous season. You get a lot of shots that look very similar from they keep doing it. Yeah. Like the way that they're like walking towards, they do a lot of that. There's a lot of parallel things in there. So now let's get to the wedding, Dan. Let's go.
We forgot about the key character that's left behind. The droid. B2 Emo is left behind.
I mean,
You think that? You think that's going to play a role later?
Yeah, I mean this. So this is like one of the things that I had a problem with all along, because we know from Andor season 1 that the Empire's, with Deidre's area, the Intelligence Bureau or whatever it is, uses forensics science to track down and find criminals. Yet, Cassian leaves evidence everywhere he goes. And now he's left B2 Emo, who has a yappy mouth, behind to be found and used for evidence against him and Luthen and the founding of the rebellion.
Sure, but the droid was left with someone who I think had a relationship with Brazo.
Had the relationship with Brasso, and they'll know how to take care of the droid, and they're already citizens, so they're not really suspects of anything.
Yeah,
the only thing I think B2 Emo ends up being is he gets uploaded into K2SO.
But we get that's an interesting one. But they leave behind the body. They left behind the body of Brasso, right?
Yeah.
So now you have evidence linking Cassian to Brasso there on that planet. Now they can start tracking where he was, where he's been, where he came from.
Well, he came from Ferrix also, just like him, though. So,
right? But now they have fingerprints and data from their house that they were in. They should have torched it. I
don't know, man. The graphics of the Imperial stuff, their graphics suck. I don't expect their computing powers that good.
I don't know that the people on the ground there are very bright.
Yeah, that's I don't know. Like, it's just like, I think if you had like a Cyril on that planet, then you might have something there.
Yeah.
Like somebody that obsessed with figuring something out. You need that like level of obsession.
He killed 40 people, right? So that's of course going to draw a crowd. I mean,
sure, but they also escaped in a ship.
Yeah, and she killed the head dude, right?
Yeah,
Commander.
So, I don't know. It's possible. It's possible. So, yeah, one of the it's definitely a loose thread. B2 Emo.
Mm-hmm.
So where that comes back to, and where I thought like with the K2SO thing is just like, I don't know. I was just thinking like how they handled the droid in Solo. And I'm like, how do you make a Imperial sort of assassin or cop droid or whatever he is, that personality. It wouldn't be the whole personality. It'd be like him, like, all right, now he's got confidence. So like that kind of change, and I think that I just kind of thought that'd be kind of neat, but I have no idea. That's just like pulled out of the air.
I said to my wife, I was like, if it was me personally, droid comes up to me and goes, "Oh, where's Andor?" Oh. I'd be like, "There he is, off in the distance. Do you see him? Do you see Andor?" And then while he's looking, shoot him in the back of the head. Do a little mice and men on that one. The droid suck.
Maybe.
Anyway, all right. So wedding. So Mon Mothma, her tragedy is about to start. So we remember from last season, she has agreed to get some cash and in exchange give her daughter away in marriage to one of the slimier individuals from Chandrila. And I was so happy to have Chandrila become like on screen finally, because it was always one of those planets that you had heard of like through all the lore from like the 80s and 90s. Like you knew Mon Mothma was from Chandrila, but you never knew if you'd just that's just some planet, and then they talk about it in some of the early novels and all that. So it's kind of cool, kind of a cool looking planet. I like some of the design. There's a 12-minute documentary on Disney Plus that talks about the first 3 episodes. And in there they talk about a lot of the design inside the wedding thing, where they're very much feel that they're like the center of the galaxy in a lot of ways, where they're like a very proud people, and like some of the designs like on the floor show like the planet with like things surrounding it, that like all these little bits in incredible detail on what they did on this show. Also, I think Mon Mothma at one point is wearing Krayt Dragon earrings. Somebody did a close-up on her earrings, and it looks like she's got a Krayt Dragon skeleton on both ears dangling down. Yeah.
Chandrila, also the birthplace of Kylo Ren.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. It's the birthplace
Interesting.
of Ben Solo. Yeah.
Whoa, did not know
Well,
that.
it would make sense that that's where Leia might feel more comfortable because it seems,
Sure.
a little upscale, like where she was from.
Well, I would imagine her and Mon Mothma hit it off
Yeah.
pretty well.
So,
So, yeah, so we've got that playing off. Now, some of the characters that come back, we've got Tay, which is her, quote, probably in the past lover, not so much anymore, but one of the ones that helps facilitate a lot of the things. We're going to talk a lot about him in a little bit. And then we've got the husband. What's the husband's name? Had it right here a second ago, but he was.
Mhm.
I really liked him in this episode. Perrin was just kind of like the party and scumbag in the first season. And I told you I was reading that book about Mon Mothma, Saw Gerrera, and um, all that, like how that's all coming together and talks about everything. And I haven't finished it yet. I'm about halfway through it. But a lot of the discussion with Mon Mothma is like her relationship with her husband, and it totally like comes through in these episodes where he is really charismatic, and that's what attracted her to him, and how they had like all these ups and downs where they'd be together and things were wonderful, and then they'd be apart and they hated each other, and it was just a back and forth throughout their whole relationship. But how he was always so charismatic and could like stir up a crowd, and she would use that for political gain all the time. And she'd be like, go to him like, okay, this is where I need you to turn it on tonight, and let's go. And they were like a very formidable couple, so seeing him give that speech where he's talking about like anxiety and all these other things. I loved that speech where he's pointing to the
yeah.
daughter, pointing to the son-in-law to be, and he's talking about like all the pain and anxiety and trouble, and you don't have to do anything because the galaxy will just give it to you. It's coming, you're gonna have to. But then like to focus on like all the happiness and the joy and all this. I think it was a great speech. Didn't expect that at all. So thought that was pretty cool. Uh, where else can we go with this? That is Cloud City, Dan. You showed me Cloud City, isn't it? No, it's Naboo.
No, that's Naboo.
That's
Yeah.
Naboo. Yeah. Anyway,
We had a Naboo reference.
Yeah, there was a
there
reference to
was
Naboo.
one of
Yeah.
the people there was born of a Naboo mother and a father from was it Chandrila?
Chandrila.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any disappointment from the wedding? I had one major disappointment.
Ooh, I would like to hear this.
I expected to see Organa's
Bail?
Bail Organa. Yeah.
Bail Organa and Mon Mothma do not get along.
They
2
don't.
weeks, I believe, we get in.
Yeah.
They don't get along, huh?
They do not like each other at this point. Bail Organa he's Mr. Conspiracy Theory. His entire thing is he's like laying into the whole like the Jedi were totally framed, slaughtered, unrightful, and so and he's like political poison. And the Empire doesn't care that he's there because everybody just thinks he's the quack. He's just nuts and let Bail go. So that's kind of like where that relationship I think would be at this point still. So they're not like, and that's like another part of the rebellion. He's got his own thing going on. Mon Mothma's got her own thing, which connects sort of in the Luthen and how those ties are coming together. So maybe later on we'll see how they connect later.
They're
with
both
Bail.
senators, and
Yes.
they're both going to be in the aftermath of Gorman.
Okay.
And Bail Organa has been recast.
Yeah.
And it will be Benjamin Bratt.
Yeah.
So,
What do you mean he's been recast?
They couldn't get what's his name. He had a scheduling conflict, so they couldn't get what's his name.
No way.
Yeah, dude, Benjamin Bratt looks exactly like him.
Dude,
Like-
you're so racist.
He does. Look at him. Look at him. That's not racist. Yeah, Benjamin Bratt. Like you put that little goatee on him. Totally put a little makeup on him. Like
He's
perfect.
a good actor. He'll be fine.
He'll be fine. Yeah.
And a little less cheesy, but I think it's a good recasting because it'll be a little more serious and a little less cheesy because Jimmy Smits is kind of cheesy.
And Jimmy Smits is kind of old at this point too. He's like getting up there in age, so it would almost be just as awkward to have to de-age him than it would be to recast. Also,
it would only be 2 years before his death, so it's
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, so there's a lot more going on.
Oh, a lot more.
I
Yeah.
think at the wedding here, right?
That's why I
That we
saved it for
haven't.
the end because I think it's the juiciest stuff.
Yeah. So can we talk a little bit about the colors of Andor and the meanings? Because I came across a comment from season one, and I kind of looked to see if it would hold true, right? And so there's been many theories about the colors that people wear and what that means in the scheme of the social order of Star Wars in the past, right?
Let's Breaking Bad this up. Do it.
So so white, black, and gray is the Empire and its lackeys, right? So that one's pretty obvious. Since we have a series without the Jedi, red and orange are both rebels. So you can see it. Cassian now has shades of red in everything he wears.
Mhm.
Okay.
Everything he wears has shades of red.
And orange is obviously an X-wing pilot.
Yeah. Blues are the money and upper class people, the money movers, the money makers, and all of the upper class people. Yellow and the mustard colors and the yellows are the peasants and the poor people.
What about Mon Mothma though? She wears a lot of yellow in this. Or is it
But
more
it's
gold? Are we
mostly
considering?
blue. She's wearing blue with some gold trim,
Okay.
but that
Oh, is this one of those things where the dress is either gold or it's blue?
Or blue.
Yeah.
Dude, I had that happen to me, and I think it's really weird, and because it was prom weekend, and there's this friend of Braden's, and his date was wearing this blue dress, and I saw her in one picture, it's blue, and the next picture, it's freaking purple as a Minnesota Viking purple, man, and I'm like, is this purple or blue? And everyone's like, that's blue, Dan. I'm like, yeah, no. And then green. The scoundrels are greens. So on Yavin 4, the ones that are fighting, that are trying to fight back against Cassian's
Okay.
band of rebels are wearing hints of green, and you'll see it, as they're dealing with people that are a little scummy and on the borders. If you go back to season one, they're wearing the green outfits.
Interesting to see when we get to Saw Gerrera's people what they're wearing.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
okay.
I think they're, yeah. So we'll see if it holds true.
Yeah,
But
let's see if that holds true. Make sure you keep that list there, and we'll kind of go through it each week. I like it.
I got it here. But yeah, all right. Let's key in on the rest of the wedding.
Yeah. So the wedding. So we've got Tay, who is trying to talk to Mon Mothma the whole time. Tay is the one who they had the long history with. Perrin thinks that may still be having an affair, or could be having an affair. Perrin really doesn't seem to care either way, but it also appears that they're, huh?
He seemed a little ticked off.
I don't know about that, because they kind of all do their thing, and it's like kind of like that part. But
and then didn't he also mention that he got really drunk and they had to take him home?
So Tay had to get taken home the night before because he got himself completely trashed, which isn't the type of thing you want a guy who's getting a little nervous because he's put a lot of money and effort into things, and things that are happening with this rebellion are starting to cost him a lot of money. And so Luthen gets wind of this.
There's a lot more of what's going on with Tay, though, because Tay
his wife left him too.
Tay is the one that bails Mon Mothma out in season one, when she's been funneling money to Luthen, and her books aren't in order, so she needs a loan, right? And so it was this whole tangled weave between Tay, Mon Mothma, and who's the guy that her daughter married?
Davos Golden. Yes. So
in order to sell the illusion that Perrin's been gambling and owes money, we need that whole foursome to be in sync. So Tay gives the money to Mon Mothma, and now he's broke because his methods of making money have been impacted by the rebellion. So now he's shaking down Mon Mothma because he has put 2 and 2 together, and due to the depression because of his failing businesses and his drinking, he's a liability now.
Yeah. So Mon Mothma hopes that they can get it to a number that
It feels like,
will
I
make
feel
him
like he
feel.
was trying. Yeah, he was trying to shake her down for money.
Yeah,
He was.
Clearly,
he was clear.
clearly.
Oh, 100%. And so now he's a loose end, and Luthen's having nothing of it. Mon Mothma thinks, okay, well, when we get back to Coruscant, we're going to come up with a number. We'll take care of it. But
Mhm.
but this guy seems to be too much of a loose cannon for Luthen. So
Well, yeah, it was too dangerous. Like you could tell, the guy was just.
he was on edge.
It would.
It was on edge.
Yeah.
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 And so he
So
ends up having to leave earlier, and because he's leaving earlier, now they have to do something. And one of my favorite touches, and we'll have to go back to some other things with this wedding, but we'll finish up Tay's storyline, is Tay's usual driver isn't there, and instead we get our favorite assassin from season 1, and I forgot her name. Cinta. Cinta from season 1 is the driver, and interesting that death will never be seen on screen, just like we didn't see Brasso's death. And I'm wondering if that's going to be a pattern, if like the deaths are be off screen. We'll see the aftermath of them, obviously, or we know they're coming, but we didn't see Brasso get shot, and we don't see Tay get shot. And I thought that was interesting. So yeah, that's that. Seeing Cinta come back now. Also, Cinta's girlfriend and her name,
Mothma's cousin.
yeah, Val sees her.
Yeah.
And that puts her into a depression.
Well, but Val is already upset because I think she's getting a little disillusioned. She's like, look, I've dedicated my life to this rebellion or whatever, and I'm sacrificing a lot. I'm sacrificing any chance I have to have a relationship with my girlfriend because she's off doing, secret missions and stuff. And then she sees her and she's like, well, she was on this planet the whole time?
Yeah.
Was she here the whole time?
Okay, so I missed the part where they're girlfriends. Is that actually a thing, or
they have
a
they have a relationship in season 1, and they split off because she's got to go back to Coruscant. Val's going back to Coruscant. Cinta is left on Ferrix to kill Cassian.
So Val is from Chandrila.
Yes.
So we understand now that she and Mon Mothma have known each other for a long time.
They're cousins.
They're cousins.
That's what it's okay.
Yeah, they're cousins.
So Val asks Luthen where Cinta is. And he says, I haven't seen her. I don't know where she is.
Yeah, they straight up lied to her. So she's being deceived. So she doesn't. So she's pissed off about being left in the dark about these things, and you kind of see in her get unfolding there too. I'm wondering where that thread's going to go because I think it's going to go somewhere. I did like the little bit though with I gotta find another name. What's that? Clea, the assistant of Luthen, when they're at the party and they're talking, because obviously they do know each other, because she's like, yeah, you've been in my shop. And there's that moment where they check each other out and then walk away from each other. So I'm wondering if that, but obviously they don't get along very well. And I love Clea though. Clea is like hardcore, way more hardcore than she was in the first season. Because she's like, you kind of looked at her as, okay, she's just Luthen's assistant. She's going to get things done. But she's kind of telling Luthen off in these episodes. She's telling him this is how it's going to go. You're not doing it. I'm going back. I got to get in communication with people. I can't do anything here. Right. This sucks. I got to go. And she's like hardcore serious.
I don't think Luthen or her were planning to be at this wedding. They kind of got sucked in last minute.
Yep, because they were invited by the...
They brought that statue.
They brought the statue.
Yeah. They brought the statue.
So I got the distinct impression that Clea is not subservient to Luthen, but rather possibly his superior.
Superior or partners.
I'll say they work together, and
they're just comfortable with each other.
Very much like Palpatine in Phantom Menace, where Palpatine's like this little guy. He's not the senator yet. He's part of the delegation from Naboo. and now all of a sudden he's been made senator, and then all of a sudden he's been made chancellor. Oops.
So we're going to think that. So
you're
you're saying that Luthen isn't the one pulling all these strings. It might be Clea. Okay. I could see it.
Yep.
Not terrible.
And I think she found Luthen, and Luthen has. We obviously don't know yet, but my understanding is we will know his drive for what he's doing before the end of the series. And I think she found him and honed him into. This is my prediction here. I just throw it out there that she's the one pulling the strings. You have frozen, Justin.
I have, but I can hear you guys, so I don't know why my screen is doing it.
Frozen.
I am totally sitting still. I'm fine. I'm a ventriloquist right now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Use my mouth.
He's gone.
No, I'm still here.
Gone.
I'm still here.
All right, what's going on,
You
man?
sound like Cassian trying to talk to Leia.
That's all right. We're just going to go with that right now, and that'll be it. I'm not going to be on screen anymore. So we're going to keep going. Otherwise, I got to reboot this computer, and we're just not dealing with it. So
what? You're wearing the wrong uniform. This is not a Star Trek show.
I don't know.
However, when the very beginning of the show, the uniform that Cassian was wearing did look very Star Trek.
Yeah, kind of. It kind of did.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's finish up this wedding thing.
All right.
So one of the other ties going on there is we find out that the daughter of Mon Mothma not having a real good time with this new boy. They have their first fight. Things are going there. Mon Mothma's she's getting the yips. Did she do the right thing? Has she sold her family off? Is this a good thing to happen? So that kind of ties into later on when the ceremony is about to start. She goes and says, you can be brave and just not do this. My mother was drunk and I see why, I get it. And the daughter just looks at her and she goes, I wish you were drunk.
Yeah.
Which was just the stab in the heart, and seeing her transition at that point. Wipe the tear off her face and just be like, no, I go first. And then it's on. Holy crap.
Her daughter is hardcore.
Yeah.
Hardcore. And I really want to point out the ceremony in this, when they went it out and then there was the circle, I was like, oh, this looks like that time Kirk fought Spock.
See, I should put the Star Trek picture on the screen, and now everything's Star Trek with John. He just goes into it. Why do they walk over the stick? That's what I want to find out. They put that branch on the ground. They're walking over it. Like what? I want to hear about the lore that they come out with.
Hey man, they had was not finished coming out of the 3D printer on time. That's what I'm going with.
I really liked the whole ceremony. I was like, yeah, I totally buy this.
It was good.
I think that this is exactly, the kind of thing that they would totally do. The knife thing where it cuts they love braids in this show.
They do.
In Star Wars in general. They love braids.
Yeah.
Did you get Sansa Stark vibes from the daughter? Because I was like, Sansa Stark, the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones from the daughter. Just
maybe. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like I like where I see it going, because okay, they get married. Mon Mothma, crap, I've now lost my daughter, and then she gets word from Luthen.
I don't know about
that she's about to lose her friend, and she decides to let loose. And that banger of a tune from the first season starts bopping on that little floating speaker thing, and awesome. She just goes and just takes the vibe and just it's a dance of the clairvoyance at the end, man. Well, it is just
she knows her one of her closest friends is gonna get killed,
and just kind of drinking the pain away and dancing the pain away, and it's such a great final 5 minutes or 10 minutes or however it's going. And obviously, Dan, like you talked about, it's interweaved with everything that's happening with Ferrix, and it's interweaved,
with Brasso.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not Ferrix. With Brasso, the people from Ferrix is what I meant. Yeah, so it's interweaved, and having that loss happen there, magnifies the loss here, and just kind of that back and forth. And that upbeat music, and that upbeat music only happens kind of when bad things are about to happen. If you noticed,
Yeah.
because like it played in the club where Andor ends up shooting those two Imperials.
Yeah.
Both intertwined scenes end the same. I think while you're right about this is some sort of a loss and trying to deal with it in each of their own way, but both are. I think the last shot that Mon Mothma takes is the turning of the page, saying, "This is my last one," and then boom, tomorrow it's all business. It's going to be all business. This is like the last time. In the same way with Cassian, it's like, get in, we're going, and boom, he's already passed Brosso's death.
Absolutely.
And it's both of them moving on in real time, one through the dance and that last shot she takes, and Cassian closing the door in the tie of Endor and hyperspace, man, right then and there.
Yeah, so I mean, like, the theme always felt like it was going to be sacrifice from the first season, and this is like when the sacrifices are really starting to happen. All right, let's predict some stuff. We got first of all, I mean, we know who's going to start.
We didn't talk about yet. First, though. Hold on.
Jesus, what did I forget? What do you got? What do you got?
Deidre and Cyril and his mother. We didn't talk about Cyril laying down and falling asleep.
That's gonna be the cover picture for the video, by the way, on YouTube.
On the bed.
No, he's so pathetic. And okay, so let's start with talking about them for predictions. I think Cyril kills Dedra.
Wow, you think Cyril turns?
I'm gonna go and say it because I think he's gonna see, or one of them kills the other. It's going to go one or the other. I don't think the mother. I think that he hits a point where he's so tired of being owned because he's such a wimp. He's such a cuck. He's so pathetic.
Yeah, he is going to lose it.
And he's going to lose it. And
that is a good call.
And I think like he's the one that ends up taking her out because now, oh my God, they see the horrors of what the Empire are, and I think she's willing to go that far. She's willing to go that evil. I don't know if he is. He wants to always do the right thing. And I think if he sees mass genocide,
that's a really good
there's
call.
no reason for him to think, and so that kind of makes him think like, okay, and this is, like, honestly, every single one of these predictions, I know nothing about what's going to happen. I just know certain characters will end up in the show, but that's all I know.
All right. I got my prediction for that trio there.
Okay.
Right? Deidre's going to kill the mother's going to come back and do something to try and further control Deidre.
Okay.
Deidre's going to kill the mother.
Ooh.
Cyril is then going to do something to end Deidre. This is how that story plays.
Okay. I don't think we see the mom again. I don't think we have any reason to see the mom again.
I think the mom has to come back
I think the mom has to come back.
I mean, she's great. She's fantastic. I love having her in the show because she's
horrible.
Oh, yeah.
She's
the worst.
To create that wedge between the two of them and their righteousness.
Okay. All right.
That's my prediction there. All right, we moving on to the next prediction?
Yeah. So let's see. Luthen. What's going to happen to Luthen?
I don't think we know enough yet to find out, but I think Cinta kills Luthen.
I think Andor kills Luthen.
Who?
Ooh.
Andor is going to kill Luthen. Go ahead, Chuck. No. You have something to say, though. I'll explain why.
I think Val kills Luthen. I think she turns on him. I think she either turns on him anonymously. Here's my real thought. She turns on him anonymously, gets him taken by the Empire, and then she changes her name to Mara Jade and flies off.
Yeah, I think that Mon Mothma has Cinta kill Luthen.
You think Mon Mothma kills Cinta?
Wow!
No. I think it's Mon Mothma has Cassian do it. I think the reason is because Luthen's gonna F up. He's going to leave his side loose. He's going to be the loose end, and that's going to be like the poetic justice of how this all happens and how terrible things are, and he's got to pull the trigger on him. And Luthen's going to be like, just bring it. He knows. He'll set his weapon down and be like, I know you got to kill me. Go ahead and do it.
No,
That kind of.
It's going to be totally Cinta driving him away in a little hovercraft spaceship, right?
All right. Okay.
Exact same way Tay was killed. This is our revenge scene in one of the last episodes. It's going to be Mon Mothma cleaning up loose ends.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could. Okay. Let's see. Who else we got? We know Andor's fate. We know Mon Mothma's fate. We know Saw Gerrera's fate, so we don't have to do any of them.
But I think the impetus for Mon Mothma doing it is going to be Luthen's going to be responsible for the death of her daughter and husband.
Oh, holy shit! I was wondering what happens to the daughter. I was like, what happens to the daughter? Because
I could see them never show up again. Like they've had their story, they're tied up, they're somewhere. That was a sacrifice. But I think the sacrifice in that she leaves her family is already enough.
Yeah,
I don't need more,
We know what happened. We already know what happens after Gorman, right? It's part of canon. It's already a known story. Okay.
Yeah.
So that what happens there is known. So she has to flee Coruscant in the middle of the night. She's running from the Empire, which means her husband and her daughter are out there and not safe.
Okay.
Unless they turn on her.
Well, I mean, I don't think that gets you. I think that only gets you so far with the Empire, right?
Okay.
I think Luthen will kill them to cover tracks, and then Mon Mothma at the end of everything will kill Luthen in retribution for Tay and for her husband and her daughter. That's my prediction.
Dark.
I like it. Okay. Let's see who else we got. Yavin 4, we know where that's going to end up. That's kind of self-explanatory, I think. Let's go with.
Do you think
Deidre, not Deidre, the major, her boss. Shoot, what's his freaking name?
Oh, that guy could just end up on the Death Star and die there.
No.
I think both of them could. Like Dedra and Partagaz. You're talking about Partagaz, the dude with the fluffy white hair? Yeah. I don't know. I think he's just Imperial stooge that ends up on the Death Star and gets blown up at some point. I don't know.
I did not know he's Grand Maester Parcell in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
He's the Lannisters. He's Cersei's Grand Maester.
He totally has that look, though, of like being any type of those types of characters.
Mm-hmm.
All right, looking through the list, we know what happens to Organa. Are we going to see Jyn Erso?
I don't think we're going to see Jyn. I know we see Tarkin. We will probably hear because they already didn't.
I think they reference her at some point.
They already referenced Tarkin. They
referenced Project Stardust once, I believe. If my notes are correct.
Did they?
Yep.
Okay.
So I think
I don't know if I heard that. Okay.
Neat. In the room.
So here's the thing: the Yavin thing. Do you think they go back and get those guys?
No.
I feel like
it's like a year is gonna pass. Like who knows? Like it won't matter. Yeah. Like we're gonna jump ahead, and it's gonna start off with Cassian in some other situation. Hopefully K2SO. I really want K2SO to be in this like sooner rather than later, but we'll see.
We know he's in it, right?
Yeah, he's for sure in it. Let's see, who else I got? Yeah, I said my prediction about K2SO, and I don't know, like, if B2 Emo gets it, I don't know. Like, maybe B2 Emo is with Cassian on the ship when the next season starts off, because at some point he flew down, picked him up, and left. I don't know. And then something happens that they have to upload him into this broken down droid, because B2 Emo's about to die. That battery just doesn't last anymore. Whatever.
Yeah. You can't fix it. You can't fix a droid. You can't buy a new battery. But the whole thing is stupid. I hate that droid so much.
I want that droid to be the main character.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's
the actual Project Stardust because they actually upload him into the Death Star plans, which allow. Yeah, Okay. Anyway.
So we have not been introduced to all of the characters yet for this season. We know we have a lot more coming.
Yep.
So
I don't want any
think we'll have to
spoilers. No spoilers if you know any of them.
Well, I mean, we know Kino's coming back, right? We
I
know.
don't know that.
What are you talking about? We all know that. Andy
I-
Serkis is in the cast list.
I have not seen that in the cast list. I'm not looking at
I
the
didn't know
cast
that
list.
either, dude. Stop ruining shit.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
You're the one who told me that.
I never told you that.
You did.
No,
You
I
did.
never told you that. So,
yeah,
I'm
he's in the cast list. Yeah,
All right. Well, that sucks that you told me that. I would have appreciated that surprise,
And
but
that's like common knowledge.
no, it's not.
That's out there all over the place. Yeah.
No. Well, oh yeah, just like you thinking that that Thrawn was going to be in it. Might be one of those situations.
That was. I mean, I didn't realize they just took the regular trailer and added the one scene at the end.
Yeah.
My,
All right. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think like if there's anything else that I wanted to predict. I think I'm pretty good.
Yeah, we know Sal Guerrero's coming back.
Yeah.
We got a lot more characters that are coming.
Yeah, there's gonna be some fun stuff.
Yeah, so Kino's coming back. Is this the origin of Snoke?
No, because Snoke is some bullshit
But he's
clone of the
same
Emperor.
actor. Same actor.
But it's a different face. It's not even the same face.
Mm,
Doesn't even look like him.
No, it's not gonna happen.
I'm just kidding. Well, I'm looking through all my notes if there's anything else. See, because my notes are all set up to go episode to episode. So I some of the themes that I saw, I thought really built. And I think I don't think we really got a chance to talk to them, but just between episode 1, episode 2, and episode 3, just how people are afraid of the Empire, but not panicked yet, right? So on Minarao, they are worried about the impending audit, but they're not freaking out yet, right?
Yeah. They're like, yeah, I mean, that dude's El Salvadorian. Who cares if he goes? He's probably really a criminal. He doesn't need due process. They're not going to do it to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and just how that builds throughout the whole thing. And in tandem, the anxiety at the wedding builds from episode to episode to episode.
For sure.
And I think it's just you're watching the lower class come to the realization that they have lost all control over their lives. And you start to see that in the upper class, the aristocrats, the core worlds, the Mon Mothmas and the Tays and everybody else going, well, shit just got real really fast and none of what we're doing matters. So let's just party and see what happens in the morning, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, that's all I got for now.
That's all I got. How about you, Chuck? You good?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. All
right.
I'm looking forward to, and I don't know that we'll get it. And Dan, don't tell me if we are. But I would like to see like maybe Princess Leia, maybe Wedge show up or something, like characters from the first, Star Wars.
Yeah, give me some Biggs Darklight or give me a Jack Porkins.
Yeah, Porkins,
give me some. Those are some good glup shittos right there. Yeah. Give me some Red Leader. Something. Yeah. I'm in for that.
You're gonna get a best crossover with the other series that are coming, or references to the other series and movies that are coming. So Ahsoka season 2. I think it makes sense that we hear or see something about Thrawn and all of that.
Like a mention of it, I would love. I don't necessarily need to see any of the Rebels crew, but I would love to have a mention of it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Rogue One mentions Captain Syndulla, which is Hera, and they show Chopper. Chopper rolls by. So, it's not like it'd be out of their way to do something like that. That'd be good enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I would need.
Yeah.
Don't forget, they're fans of the stuff. So.
Oh yeah, no, they got this. It's pretty tight. Yeah, it's pretty tight. And all right, let's. Do
we find out if Luthen was a Jedi in this series? Do you think we're gonna find that out?
I'm thinking. I'm leaning that he's not, but who knows? Because I already said Cassian's gonna kill him, so he's not gonna kill a Jedi.
Yeah.
If that's the case. We'll see though. All right, guys. Let's wrap it up. Start the
Yeah,
music.
Yeah,
And yeah, we'll meet back here on Thursday. Talk about more.
absolutely. Can't
Nice.
Come up with more theories. All right, guys. Peace out.
All right,
Peace.
see you later.